Over the last couple of years, new construction has been one of the hottest segments in the DFW housing market. Builders were selling homes before foundations were even poured. Buyers were locking in contracts months in advance, and backing out just wasn't something people ever talked about. But fast forward to now, and we're seeing a noticeable shift. Today, we're breaking down why buyers are backing out of new construction communities across DFW, what patterns we're seeing, and what you need to know before signing a contract.
Yeah, and this is such an important conversation because backing out doesn't always mean someone made a bad decision. Sometimes it means the market changed around them. We are not here to call out specific builders or scare anyone away from new construction. Instead, we want to explain where buyers are getting caught off guard and why they're walking away, and how you can avoid becoming one of those statistics if you're thinking about building in DFW.
One of the biggest reasons buyers are backing out right now comes down to timing versus reality. A lot of contracts were signed when interest rates were lower, incentives were stronger, and home prices were climbing quickly. By the time those homes are actually finished, the numbers don't always look the same. Monthly payments, taxes, and insurance can all change, and for some buyers, that gap becomes far too big to justify moving forward.
And what makes this tricky is that new construction timelines are rarely exact. Even a 6 to 8 month build can turn into 10 to 12 months with supply delays, labor shortages, or weather issues. When rates move during that time, buyers who didn't lock early or didn't fully understand rate lock policies can feel blindsided. That's one of the most common reasons we're seeing buyers pause or walk away entirely.
Yeah, and another major factor is property taxes, especially in fast-growing outer ring suburbs. Many buyers look at an estimated tax number when they sign a contract, not realizing that once the home is completed, the land and the structure are both reassessed. In places like Salina, Princeton, and Anna, those tax bills can be a shock if you weren't prepared for them.
Exactly, and this doesn't mean those cities are bad places to live. They're growing for a reason, but buyers sometimes compare a new construction payment to an existing home payment without factoring in the higher tax rates or the MUD and PID taxes. Once the final numbers come in, the monthly payment can be hundreds of dollars more than expected. For some households, that is a breaking point.
Yeah. We're also seeing buyers back out because of appraisal issues, which a lot of people don't associate with new constructions. Builders set prices based on future expectations, not always current comparable sales. So if the market cools or nearby homes start closing for less, the appraisals might not come in at the contract price. And when that happens, buyers are often asked to bring more cash to the table and are unable.
And that's the moment where reality really hits. Some buyers assume new construction always appraises because it's brand new, but lenders don't see it that way. They look at closed sales, not builder optimism. If a buyer doesn't have extra cash or simply doesn't feel the home is worth the gap anymore, backing out becomes a real consideration.
Yeah, and another pattern we're seeing is buyers backing out of communities that were marketed heavily on future amenities. Pools, clubhouses, trails, and retail sound great on paper, but those features often come in phases. If construction slows or demand shifts, those amenities can be delayed for years at a time. And buyers who expected a fully built out lifestyle right away sometimes realize they're moving into a long-term construction zone instead.
This happens a lot in newer master plan developments where the vision is strong, but the execution takes some time. Some buyers are totally fine with that, but others aren't once they see the day-to-day reality. Noise, dust, and incomplete infrastructure can be very frustrating, especially for families or people working from home. That disappointment can push buyers to reconsider before closing.
And now let's talk about HOAs, because this is another big surprise factor. For many new construction communities, HOA fees start low and increase as amenities are completed. Buyers sometimes budget for today's HOA, not the long-term costs. When updated HOA budgets are released during the build process, it can change affordability calculations dramatically.
And HOAs aren't just about the monthly fee, it's also about the rules. Newer communities often have stricter guidelines on landscaping, parking, rentals, and even exterior changes. Buyers who didn't fully read those documents up front sometimes realize the lifestyle restrictions do not match what they want. That's not something you want to discover after closing.
No. We're also seeing buyers back out due to incentive changes. Early in the process, builders may offer aggressive incentives like rate buydowns, closing cost credits, or design upgrades. But incentives are often tied to specific lenders, timelines, or inventory goals. If a build gets delayed or the market shifts, those incentives can change or disappear.
That's a big one, especially for buyers who were counting on those incentives to make the numbers work. When a rate buy down expires or a lender changes terms, the payment can jump significantly. At that point, some buyers decide it's better to walk away and reassess rather than to force a deal that no longer makes sense.
Yeah, and another reason buyers are backing out is competition from resale homes. As more existing homes come on the market, buyers suddenly have options that weren't available when they signed their build contract. Some resale homes offer better locations, mature neighborhoods, or even lower monthly payments. That comparison can be really hard to ignore.
Especially when resale sellers are offering concessions of their own. Buyers start asking themselves if waiting months for a build still makes sense when they could move in sooner and potentially save money. It's not that new construction loses its appeal, it's the gap between new and resale isn't as wide as it used to be.
One thing we want to be very clear about is that backing out isn't always a failure. Sometimes it's a very smart financial decision based on updated information, but it can come with consequences, like losing earnest money or option fees. That's why understanding these risks upfront is so critically important.
And this is where having proper representation really matters. Builders write contracts to protect themselves, not the buyer. Knowing which deposits are refundable, how contingencies work, and what happens if timelines change can make all the difference. Too many buyers learn this only after they're already under contract.
So if you're considering new construction in DFW right now, the key takeaway is this: assume things will change. Rates may move, timelines may slip, and final costs may look different than initial estimates. If the deal only works under perfect conditions, that's a massive red flag.
But if you plan conservatively, understand taxes and HOA structures, and work with someone who knows the local new construction landscape, it can still be an amazing option. New builds offer energy efficiency, warranties, and customization that resale homes just don't have. You have to go in with eyes wide open.
If you're thinking about building, relocating to DFW, or trying to decide between new construction and resale, that's exactly what we help clients navigate every single day. Our goal is never to push you into a deal. It's to make sure you don't regret one later.
And if this video helped you understand what's really happening behind the scenes with new construction in DFW, make sure to like, subscribe, and reach out if you want personalized guidance. We're always happy to break down numbers, communities, and timelines before you commit.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.